So we are talking about this reading trends and patterns in the triple burden of malnutrition in India, right? And we have covered quite a few parts of this. So if you've not seen the earlier parts, I would urge you to see that, right? And we are discussing the dietary changes and how far the trends in the undernutrition and overnutrition could be explained by the changes in diet and the diet quality. So, and we've discussed few trends in the changes in the diet quality as well yesterday. Now, ma'am actually goes further and talk about when the shares of energy intakes are going to be taken into account, then the evidence for diet diversification is not so apparent. And why does she say so? Let's look at that. So let's write one line. Please write when shares of energy intakes are examined. Are examined. The evidence for diet diversification. So they say this that in case of the people were consuming cereals earlier and now they're also consuming cereals mostly, then where is the diet diversification has gone, right? So in the poorest tercile, and now she's giving the evidence. You have poorest tercile, you have richest tercile, right? And share of cereals, right? In energy intakes, in energy intakes. So for poorest tercile, it is 2/3. And for richest tercile, it is half. Yes, over the time, there has been a decline in the share of cereals, right? But as far as share of the fruits and vegetables is concerned, that has not changed much, right? So share of fruits, vegetables, and livestock not increased much, not increased much. And for the share of cereals, she's writing that yes, over the time, that share has gone down. Not only for the poorest tercile, for both of them, share has declined over time. So this part of Bennett's law is right. That is, when the development is going to come, with that, the share of cereals is going to fall. But the another part is the share of fruits, vegetables, and livestock that is going to increase. That has not happened, right? That has not happened. And what has happened is, yes, the share of fruits, vegetable, and livestock, that is a good thing, which should be there in the life, which should be there in your diet. That should have increased, but that has not increased. But what has increased is the share of energy derived from sugar, oil, and other foods. Oils, other foods, and other foods, right? Then there are some other also. The other trends are richest tercile is deriving much of its energy intake from non-cereal sources. This is expected, right? Then do the poorest tercile. Tercile derive far more calories from non-cereals. Then do the poorest tercile. Then do the poorest tercile, right? Then do the poorest tercile. Um, then let us write few trends more. Consumption of sugar. Let me write this. Consumption of sugar. Consumption of sugar, oil, etc., etc. Poorest tercile, richest tercile. So poorest tercile has seen 135 to 216 calories per capita per day from consumption of sugar and oil. Now, richest tercile has gone from 340 to 390 per capita per day uh, for the consumption of sugar and oil. So basically, the poorest tercile, the calorie intake is more from they saw much more increase in the consumption of sugar and oil, right? Uh, from fruit and vegetables, from fruit and vegetables. For the poorest tercile, it has decreased from sorry, it has increased from sorry. It has increased from 80 to 95 per capita per day. Hmm. For the richest tercile, it has decreased slightly from 166 to 160 per capita per day. For dairy, poultry, meat, right? Uh, for the poor, this has increased from 68 to 90. Hmm. And it is unchanged at around 300 calories for the rich. Calorie intake from pulses, unchanged at 75 calories per capita per day. And for richest tercile also, it is unchanged at 125. Hmm. And this should not be surprising because she says this that the availability of pulses also has remained more or less the same. So since this has not increased, this is not surprising because the per capita availability of pulses, it has remained more or less the same, right? Uh, it has remained more or less the same. Okay. Now, this is whatever comparison has been made. This has been made for the period of 1993-94, and the other year is 2011 to 2011. The comparison between them. So this pattern of diet diversification you will find in the rural areas also. So it will be very good if you can make such a table. If you can make such a table, so your professors are going to like this a lot because they do not have to read that much of English. They just understand by looking at your diagram or table that you have understood the concept, and they will give you good marks. Right. This pattern of diet diversification is found in rural areas as well. With, of course, the consumption of cereals have increased, but there is a very, very modest increase in the consumption of livestock, the consumption of fruits, consumption of vegetables. With lower consumption of cereals. But only modest increase in calories. derived from livestock, fruits and vegetables. Mhm. So, and she says a very good line. She says this, that these are fairly modest changes in the diet composition. We could have expected that at least in the richer tercile, in the richest tercile, there would have been more changes. Cereals would have substantially decreased. Fruits and vegetables would have substantially increased. We have not seen all that, right? So he's right. These these are fairly modest changes in diet composition. So one would have expected to see greater changes at least among the richer tercile. At least among the richer tercile, right? Uh, So, and what she has also said, one thing that there has been expansion of the percentage of households consuming diverse products. So earlier, few households only were consuming diverse products. Now more households are consuming diverse products. One thing, that's a good thing. Uh, so at least till this extent, yes, the diet quality appears to correlate well with the nutritional outcomes. That because now more number of households are consuming diverse products, so that's a good thing, right? So I want you to write these lines in your answer. Guys, please make your own notes. Don't even depend on my notes. I'm just trying to help you. You have to write your own notes. I cannot overemphasize this. We have done these mistakes when we were children, when we were students. Our professors used to tell this again and again, make notes, make your own notes. I mean, what were we doing? We taking notes from somewhere else, getting it photocopied, trying to find out shortcuts. And no shortcut in life will take you anywhere. The moment you try to take a shortcut, that will become a very, very long route and it is going to give you a pain later in terms of low marks. You won't understand anything. Somebody else would have made notes. You have not read the reading. How would you understand what is going on? You will not. So you have to read the reading carefully. You have to write alongside. So I used to read some part and then I write the main points here. But this particular reading, it was very difficult for me to find out. I mean, to say, no, this line is important, this line is not. Because even while writing it out, there are many questions which are there in my head which examiner could ask. So if she asks you something about the data, if she asks you something about only particularly undernutrition or particularly overnutrition, you will have to write all that. Particularly for urban areas, particularly for rural areas, you have to write all that. So you need to read it between the lines. There has, however, been an other thing there'll be very few people who would be actually working hard to get good marks in Indian Eco. You do that hard work. You make your own notes. An examiner will be able to find out. Someone who is just writing it from other person's note and someone who has made their own notes by writing themselves, they will find out very easily, I'm telling you. So don't be in this impression that when we check papers, we don't understand. We understand. Who has who has read the subject just 2 days before and who is reading it throughout the semester? We understand it very carefully, very carefully. I mean, and very clearly. There has, however, been an expansion in the percentage of households. Consuming more diverse products. So to this extent, that now because more number of households are consuming diverse products, so that's a good thing, right? So the diet quality has correlated well with the nutritional outcomes, with improvements in the nutritional outcomes. To this extent, has correlated well. With improvements in nutritional outcomes, right? Except anemia. Right, Beta? Okay, now I'll take you further in the data sources. I mean, there is some problem with the data, and she discusses that. So I'll take that thing tomorrow. So this is a lengthy reading in terms of to understand it well. So you need to be very, very patient with this. Don't try to do this very quickly, mm, because she can ask you any question between the lines for this. I mean, examiners have a lot of room to play in this reading. So there is no one question which is going to be asked. So I can form 3 or 4 different questions which have to be answered there. And understand the reading well and try to change the character of the answer the way the question has been asked and try to answer only that. Right. Okay. Thank you, Beta.